Hello, welcome back to the What If Universe. Today we're joined by Salajin, who used to be known as Sal the Saiyan, so we'll just be calling him Sal for this interview. So, Sal, would you like to start things off by introducing your channel to everybody and describe what it's about?
Hey guys, so I'm glad to be here again. I've been on the channel before with some pretty fun videos where we're ripping into some pretty garbage what ifs. But yeah, so basically I'm a Dragon Ball YouTuber. I do only Dragon Ball content. I do anything from regular discussions, in-depth character analysis stuff, or bad articles, bad video, ripping into stuff. I have a Bad Take Police series where I'm the guy who runs the Dragon Ball Bad Take Police account, if you know that account. So I have a whole YouTube series where I, rip into those. And I do some other things. I do some rewrites. And obviously, I do what ifs, or I just started to do what ifs recently. So that's, I guess, one thing that me and Drew can really relate to each other about because Drew's one of the biggest what if guys I know. So yeah, so I'm really happy to be here, and I'm excited for this interview.
First interview, I'm just going to ask questions related to what ifs. That's kind of what my channel is supposed to be about, but sometimes I do other stuff, but for my own sanity, obviously. And we're going to talk about your history in relation to the Dragon Ball community because you do have more ties with it, in my opinion, than I do publicly. So to start things off a bit, what was it like actually making your first what if scenario?
Well, it's funny because my first what if scenario since I really started taking YouTube seriously, besides what if Goku was HIV positive, because
we'll talk about that one later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. That's more of a joke one though. That's not
one's
really
gonna be a little relevant.
Right. It is relevant, but the thing is, it's not a serious what if. But I made my first serious what if not too long ago. Only, let me see, it was a few weeks ago, and it was about what if Goku killed Dr. Gero way back in Dragon Ball, like when he was storming the Red Ribbon Army HQ, and let's just say Dr. Gero was there and Goku killed him. So when I made that one, because basically the big thing is when you're trying to create a what if is coming up with the topic. And to me, the most interesting what ifs are the ones where you're taking one little thing and changing it, like one decision that would be different, or what if this person was here instead of there. I'm not really a big fan of some of the what ifs where it's morphing different worlds together. I respect them. I'm just personally not a fan of them as a viewer. I would rather be what if this person decided to do something different? So I wanted to do something along those lines. So when I did that, I thought of this one. I thought it was a pretty interesting idea. And the most important thing was, had it ever been done before? And it wasn't done before. So I went ahead and I did it. And I have another what if plan too that I'm going to be releasing. It's just going to be kind of similar, but it's going to be what if Goku decided to not come back for one day during the Majin Buu arc. That will be interesting. But I have done what ifs even before this, way back, because I've been on YouTube since 2016. I just haven't been consistent. I did the first video I ever did on YouTube in January 2016. I wasn't even Sal the Saiyan. I was this is when I had 0 subscribers. The first video I did, it was, I think, what if, or I don't know if it was called what if, but it was basically a what if. It was if Goku and Oob didn't leave the tournament, how would that tournament have finished? Who would have won and everything? That was the first what if video I ever did. I did a few others, kind of more in the style of Quaman, because back then, it wasn't how what ifs are now, or this, Drew, where what if videos are structured like multiple parts, really in depth. But this was more you're kind of overviewing the story and kind of giving bullet points, not really going too in depth. I was more the Quaman style what if. So I did a few of those. I did what if Goku killed Fat Boo. A few other ones I did back then. I think they might still be public. I'm not sure. They actually probably aren't. I think I made them private. But yeah, so I have had a history with what ifs, but I just haven't really gone that deep into them.
I guess to get to your little discussion point about structure. I think each YouTuber has their own style. The problem is expectations in the web community, because recently Karthu ended up with a little drama that people felt like they were clickbait with one of his recent what-ifs, but the problem is I think newer people that sub to him don't understand his writing style as if someone also came to my channel and watched something. Because a good example I would think of is what if Chi-Chi died birthing Gohan? If that's your first what if to my channel, you have to realize that a lot of it was a joke concept at first. It was similar in vein to what Sal did with what if Goku got HIV, but the difference was we made our scenario more plausible and actually could have affected the story if we took it more seriously, but we didn't.
Right, yeah,
Like,
yeah, for sure.
You get to hear my horrible impression of Vegeta if you check out Dragon Star Productions when I redid my audio for the first part, because the first part was very awful. That was back when I wasn't really knowing what I was doing anyways, but in that new part you can hear my really horrible impression of Vegeta, but it's really funny.
Yeah, that's
because I was like, why not? And that's kind of how my web style evolved. It became less serious and me more wanting to try and make a story interesting if I mess with power scaling.
Right.
Which that's the biggest thing people will actually rail me for, which is power scaling. I understand that because that's not what I do.
Right.
Like, I'm not a power scaler. I like to tell entertaining stories, and if the power scaling gets in the way, sometimes I like to throw it out of the window because it's more entertaining to just have something dumb happen, in my opinion.
Right. Here's because you brought up Karthu, I thought that was pretty interesting. You know, here's the thing, and this is why I was so skeptical of getting into what ifs in the first place, because they can blow up and then you might only be known for what ifs. So someone like Karthu, he is one of the more knowledgeable Dragon Ball YouTubers out there. I really put him in the upper tier. I think he really knows his stuff. So when he does all these what ifs, people tend to only know him for what ifs. But then this is a dude that can make, regular Dragon Ball discussions and other stuff that's going to be top tier, just as good as anybody else. And the issue is he feels like he can't. I mean, I haven't talked to him about this, but I'm just assuming he might feel like he can't, and it has to be a what if, or else it will bomb or not do as well as it could. And then I guess you can maybe find loopholes where you can title something what if, so it gets the views, but you're able to just talk about what you want to talk about, because maybe only talking about what ifs, you can get burnt out from that.
Oh yeah, I agree. That's why I invited you to do the CBR thing, because you know what? I want something different to do. Let's just roast some other people's what if videos. And that's what kind of led to that, to a degree for me. But I can't speak on behalf of Karthu, but I kind of can with Smugstick since I edited for him for a while. And I will say, when talks with him, there's other stuff he wants to do. And essentially what he realized is that he was going to start another channel, which he did. He made a really good Avatar video. I recommend that for people who might want to watch something non-Dragon Ball related that's out there. But it was really good. I enjoyed it for sure. But the thing that happens is I was about to end up in the same bubble along with Anime Sage and many others. And the issue is that by the point you hit 100K, people expect you to do that type of content. When you try to shift over, views just tank it, makes it less viable, because by that point you're trying to make money off of it and trying to pay out editors and whatnot. So I kind of understand the struggle that I guess both of them could have. I do plan to interview Karthu at some point. He's agreed to come on, but I'm not going to speak behalf of him. But as far as Smugstick goes, I can certainly say that there's times where he gets frustrated if a non-what if video doesn't do as well. And it's kind of understandable because there is burnout that comes with the style of content we do. But the difference was, if I were to compare myself to both of them, the difference between me is that I really don't restrict myself of what type of what if I can do. If I want to do Infinity Train one day, I can, or Death Note, or whatever. I honestly don't care, because the thing is that I still want to get what if content out there, but I'm not sticking with one show because it just burns you out, honestly.
Right. It's kind of like you really. That's the big trick about what ifs is you're kind of if you're gonna because there was a what if craze at one point where Carthu and Smugstick they were in at the perfect time where what ifs were exploding. It was after Dragon Ball Super ended and people were craving Dragon Ball stories. And because we only had the manga coming out once a month and Heroes, but nobody really cares about Heroes. So the people were craving Dragon Ball stories and just Dragon Ball fan fiction as a whole. That's why not just what if channels did well, but fan manga reviewer channels like Blackscape, they blew up. People wanted unique Dragon Ball stories. So the thing is, when everybody was kind of going in on that, when it was really popular, it was like, obviously it's addicting to say like, oh my God, this video is doing so well. All these what if videos are doing amazing. I'm going to do more what if videos. So then, your channel then becomes known for what ifs. And then when you do something that's not a what if, it's not going to do as well. So that's the thing for me personally, is trying to make that balance. The way I have my schedule written out is maybe 1 in every 6 or 8 videos would be a what if. Because I still want people to come to my channel and expect me to make videos that are just broad in sense of Dragon Ball. There's a lot of things I can discuss, not just the what ifs. So I think that's a big struggle, and you kind of have to nip that in the bud early on. Because if you're going to go in and you're going to blow up and then you want to change, it'll be too late, in my opinion. Or, you're not going to have that same success, and that will increase the odds that you will burn out.
I think the funny thing is, obviously, if my name whatifuniverse, the thing is that, unlike a ton of other people who jumped on, the thing was, with me, is that I'm more committed. There's more what if content that I think people aren't looking into right now that should be considered, honestly. But the thing is, like, when will the point they'll reach there? The problem is, I think with a lot of people, they'll either be dedicated to a series wanting to try and get it done, or that series doesn't do well and you keep starting new what ifs, which creates a burnout cycle, which I like to call like the new what if every single week type of mentality. Because with someone like myself, I don't see myself ending up that issue because I could pick different series, but if someone does, let's say, for example, 5 different Dragon Ball what ifs within the same month and they're just part 1s, you now just started 5 series that you potentially have to commit to or don't. And if you choose not to, you kind of let down the audience that you gain from those 5 videos potentially.
Exactly. That's the big struggle. And we'll get to that later with the HIV thing with me, but I definitely can relate to that.
Yeah, I get that. Speaking of other what if YouTubers, can you share a story where you had to change your name from Salad Saiyan to Salajin due to the issue that so many people confused you for Salad Saiyan?
Well, that's funny, but that was one of the reasons why I wanted to change my name. But people say it still sounds like Salad Saiyan. But here's the truth of the matter. That was part of it. That was definitely part of it. But more than that was I felt that my channel, I'd been making videos for so long. It was 4 years, and I felt like I really wanted to start taking things more seriously. So I felt like a name change was kind of necessary. So I spoke to a few people who really knew their stuff in terms of YouTube growth. I'm not going to say publicly, because I don't know if they want me to say anything publicly. But they were giving me good advice, and I decided to change the name. I discussed the name change with those people, like the specific name change. I thought it was great because it keeps the core of my channel intact. Like, it's similar to Sal the Saiyan, but it condenses it in a way where it also makes it sound a little more broad. Like, it's not screaming Dragon Ball, which is good long run, because there could come a day where I'm going to say, oh, I'm going to stream on Twitch. And if I want to stream on Twitch and my name is Sal the Saiyan, people are going to be like, okay, where's Dragon Ball? But if I'm Salajin, people might be like, okay, I could see you playing something else. It just kind of gives you a more broad name. And in general, Dragon Ball specific names don't do as well as someone who has a more unique name that isn't like screaming Dragon Ball. Like, look at even the big Dragon Ball YouTubers out there. You got, Geekdom 101, Unrelenting Gaming, even the What If guys like Carthu and Smugstick. Obviously Salad Saiyan, but most of them don't have the Dragon Ball word in their channel name. So that was just kind of the thinking behind that. And obviously I didn't want people to keep getting me so confused with Salad. So I changed it with that in mind.
So what made you actually choose to start trying to make what if scenarios? Because I know a lot of other Dragon Ball YouTubers are kind of held back, whether it's personal struggles or seeing other people in the community getting stuck with it. But what kind of made you overcome that barrier eventually?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. The struggle to get involved with the what ifs is more so like people kind of see it as selling your soul in a way, because what ifs can be so popular. But they're like, oh, it's such a saturated thing, and people, will just make these ridiculous topics. And the key to me was saying, like, I'm not going to be one of those people that makes a ridiculous topic, even though I made a ridiculous topic. The most ridiculous topic ever with the HIV thing, but that was obviously a joke. But with my serious what if content, the thing was I wanted to give stuff that I always wondered, like, okay, what if this was different in Dragon Ball? Like, what if this little decision was changed? I think that was the biggest barrier, because I feel like I'm giving a real quality content, and it's really also the desire to see my channel succeed, because I know that stuff is popular. I was having it requested by my audience. People wanted to see other what ifs. So I figured, and I'm also trying to experiment with different things. I'm trying different types of videos, trying to see what works, because right now I'm a channel under 10K, so I feel like I can really afford to experiment, because once you get to that 10K range, then you really got to start like getting specific and knowing what exactly you're going to be doing. So I feel like I can still experiment, and I feel like what ifs are a good thing to experiment with. It's just the key is to not only do what ifs, because I will burn out on YouTube if I only do what ifs. That's just a fact. I can't only do them, but I can do them once in a while. I don't mind doing them once in a while.
So what did you learn from making your first what if?
Well, the thing I learned was it's not really the scripting and just the storytelling is really fun to make, because I realized how I write stories. Some people write stories differently. Some people will write out the entire what if, all the parts from the beginning, bullet point notes. Like, obviously they want to script it, but they have to write out the whole story first. I noticed about myself, I learned that I'm more like Toriyama, where he's a discovery writer, where he kind of writes things as they go. Any what if or any rewrite story I have, I only have whatever is up so far, or whatever is being worked on for like the next video. I haven't planned anything out further than that, because I just kind of like to see where the story takes it. And obviously that can come to backfire, but I feel like it's just more fun. That's just how I like to write. So I did learn that about myself.
I will say that with my own style, some people might ask me one day, so I'll just mention it here. Who knows, I'll probably mention it again. And if someone ever interviews me, but with how I do things, with my personal videos, I do kind of like with your style. But exceptions come into play when it becomes collaborations, because with collaborations, that can vary. So it's either me and the other person, we write out either the full part, or in the case right now, I'm working on a very massive collab that's planned to span over multiple parts, but me and this other person are writing the entire universe for this one, because the single change we made, like, changes how Dragon Ball functions as a show, which causes a lot of issues, obviously. So we have to write out now of how it works. Like, there are certain ones that if you give Goku like blank power, then yeah, it's gonna go relatively the same for the most part, depending what it is. But if you remove or change a character out, that's when I think you run into where things are shaking up. So, for example, if you got rid of Namekians, the whole entire beginning of Dragon Ball changes. just from
Right,
that one change.
because there's no Dragon Balls.
Yeah, you have
Or no regular Dragon Balls. Obviously, there's still the Super Dragon Balls, but that's it.
exactly. So you create another scenario by doing something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it really depends who you choose to remove or add. Like even the biggest thing that I look at with what ifs, with Dragon Ball particular, that I run into problems with is how the timelines work, because as soon as you start to get to the future Trunks timeline, you'll have people argue in the comment section whether it should remain the same or not. And recently I've decided to, for the most part, just keep it the same. Which is kind of boring, but I think in the future I might change that up for certain what ifs, but it makes it interesting depending on which story you're talking about. Because I would say with see, I'm trying to think which one it was. Oh yeah, it was what if Goku stayed single. That one creates a big gap there because Trunks realizes that Gohan doesn't exist in this universe that he showed up in. The problem is
okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. So it's like you're making it a legit parallel universe.
Yeah, that's how I'm doing it now. Originally, my plan was to have the what if affect the timeline, but I was like, it would be more interesting, like the commenters were saying, just to keep it the same. So it creates another universe, essentially. That's basically the original timeline to a degree.
And then I guess in that respect, you can even add an extra timeline where those events did happen in Trunks' timeline. You know what I mean? Like, if you really want to get creative, you can just throw in another timeline.
Well, that's part of my plan with my what ifs, because I feel like if I reach a day where I don't have any new ideas, what I might do is explore those future Trunks timelines where those effects occur and basically do like a special, like the
like a spinoff, yeah,
like the history of future Trunks,
right?
This what if edition, because with Goku staying single, Gohan doesn't exist anymore. So now you have to figure out how Trunks chooses to train. You have to figure out how he survived so long. It throws in a wrench in the whole equation.
Right.
And that's what I like about what ifs that remove or either add characters. I think those are ones I respect a lot, but different scenarios happening that they're okay. It depends what the scenario is, but I guess to get back into stuff here, do you have any advice you want to give to people who want to start making what if content?
Well, to me, it's really, do you want to only do what if content? Do you want to do some what if content? Because you have to make that decision in the beginning. Because if you're going to only do what if content, you're going to have to stick to that, in my opinion. I don't think, or you'd have to make a second channel if you want to do other type of content. So that's really the biggest thing to me, is deciding that in the beginning. Because if you're going to go all in on what ifs, you got to be in that for the long run. Because if you change it, you're going to probably have to start from scratch. So that's the biggest thing I would say to people who are going to get into what ifs. Just, make sure you know long term what you want to do.
I will say with myself, I did realize this later on in my timeline, but I think the difference how I handle it versus how you or someone else who doesn't do it as often, what I do is that if I upload something here to my main channel and it doesn't do as well as I want it to, I just move it to my second channel. So the content's not gone, but it's just somewhere else, most likely. But if it does better enough, then I'll just do more of it. That's just how I am.
Right.
And with these interviews, in my opinion, these relate enough to what ifs I like to keep on the main channel. And there's other stuff like fan comics and stuff like those kind of relate to it as well. Because
it does relate. The fan manga stuff or comics, it does relate in a way, because they're both fan fiction in a sense. So people kind of enjoy that content. Normally they have the same or a crossover audience. So that's not a bad idea to do fan manga or fan fiction in general.
Yeah, the risk that I had was more when we did the CBR video. That was more of like one of my more out there things that I did, and it turned out all right. So I'm happy.
Well, interesting because you were kind of reacting to a what if. So I mean, it's not a bad. It
related to the content. The issue was, to me, it was more of like what I used to do, because before we did what if content, I did a bit of commentary, so I had a good idea of how I wanted to display myself for that video, but I wasn't too sure if I could keep it engaging enough, you know?
Right.
And that's the thing I think that I struggle with sometimes, because if I want to try to do other content, you feel a bit lesser about yourself, and that's something that I want other people to understand. It's like, when I do new content, obviously, it might not be the best, but I will say that I am trying to give my all the best I can.
Right.
So, I guess someone else I just wanted to ask, did you have any inspirations to do what ifs? Because I don't know what your background.
Inspirations? I mean, originally, like I said earlier in the video, when I did old what ifs way back in the day, I was inspired by Quaman's style. Because to me, he's the father of Dragon Ball what ifs. I mean, maybe there was someone who did it before him, but he's the first one who really did popular ones. And his style was completely different than, the style of today that, yourself, myself, Smugstick, Carthu, where you have these multi-part things. His was completely different from that. So he was the original inspiration, but whose what ifs I kind of I really find entertaining, and I'm like, okay, that's the gold standard, is probably Smugstick. I really, really like his writing style. I like the way he has characters, and their quotes will kind of cut in, like he'll have them talk and stuff. Obviously, he gets some help from Dragon Ball University, who's a phenomenal voice actor. But I could do some of the voice acting myself, even though I'm not as good as he is. But it's just, it adds a little bit of life to it, where you can throw in some sound effects and stuff like that. So I would say the person I closest model my stuff after would be Smugstick, because I think he makes the best what if content. Just that's my just personal opinion. The best Dragon Ball what if content, at least.
Well, yeah, I can attest to Smugstick being one of the more better people out there, not considering the fact I was paid for anything like that, but anyway, ignore that bias out the way. I will say my collaboration I did with him for what if Goku was absorbed by the Big Getty Star, that really showed like how he works with our people, in my opinion. Because you could tell different aspects of my writing style that was in there with how Goku just grabs Go when he comes back. It's like it was, I would say, one of the more like horror type of what ifs that was created, and I want to dabble back into that again, but things like I don't know what to do,
Right, no, I get that. I mean, that's actually a pretty interesting idea, that way you're saying you made it kind of like a horror topic. That sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so I guess now we're gonna get to the real serious question here. So, what inspired you to do what if Goku's HIV positive?
Okay, so I was getting to a point where this is when like the what if thing was really getting crazy. Like, so many people were doing it. And I just saw some ridiculous topics like thrown out there. And I was just like, all right, I'm just going to I made the thumbnail, because I'm like sitting there and I'm like looking at these what if things, and I'm like, I just made the thumbnail, what if Goku is HIV positive, part 13. And I'm like, wow, this is like true peak content, like, or whatever. I just like made the thumbnail, put it out on Twitter, and it like did really well. And then I made another one of like part 1, and I'm like, what did I say? I said like 100 retweets or something, and I'll do this. And it got like over 200. I still have that.
I looked it up when I was looking up the thumbnail, and it was like, that's what you tweet out. It's like 100 retweets, and I'll make this tutorial video. And like, eventually got it.
Over like 200 people retweeted it. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. And everybody knew it was a joke. And then I went ahead and just made it, and the video is getting views to this day. It's kind of a running gag in the community.
So, I guess there's a lot of diehard fans of the series. They're wondering, will you ever continue the series? Oh, man.
You know, and there really are people who have been asking to see another part. And truth of the matter is, I don't know. From now, it's discontinued. Is it gone forever? I don't know. I did end it on a good note with the end of the Cell arc. You know, the Cell games are over and stuff. Goku's dead. All that. You know, I could start the Buu arc. Who knows? Maybe I'll do it April Fools or something like that. I don't really know.
I love that idea. Just have it an ongoing series like April 1st. It just gets a new part.
Right. I mean, I could do that. I could do that. So we'll see what happens. If the people really, really want it, I don't know. Because the thing is, it's so, like, some people think I'm like serious about it and they don't know it's a joke. So it just gives me bad publicity in a sense. Even though I did gain a lot of subscribers, it's just like embarrassing in a sense. So I don't know if I really want to go ahead with more, but maybe I would consider it for April Fools or something.
So this leads into this other question. How would you react when Trash Chase saw the video and talked about it for their podcast?
I mean, it was all good publicity. It was good publicity because the video got way more views after that, so I gained a lot of subscribers. So I'm grateful in that sense. They were just kind of ripping into it, and I don't think they really realized that it was a joke when all they had to do was watch the video, and I said it was a joke. Which, like, I guess they didn't stay to the end. Maybe they just like clicked on it, watched a minute, and then got off. So if they would have watched it, they would have known it was a joke.
I know with Connor, when he was talking about it, he did realize kind of it was a joke, but he couldn't tell because your delivery was so dry.
Yeah, that's what he said. And that hurt when he said that, but then I realized, I'm like, oh yeah, that was back then. That was still when I was getting, you know, really into the swing of things. My delivery would be much better now. But it was obvious. I mean, I did state that it was a joke, so I was kind of like annoyed that they didn't say that, even though they were kind of hinting at it. But a lot of people, I did get a lot of like hate from that in that comment section because, you know, again, people, and I'm sure you know this, people as a YouTuber, you know this for sure. People will just comment before watching and just like say, "Oh my god, this is." I don't even know. There was like really rude comments that I got. So,
well, even I didn't like their presentation with it because I made a video responding to that section, and the main takeaway that I have from that video, and since I don't think people will want to watch it because it's relatively long, but my main point with that was that I don't like that that's their first introduction to people within the What If community, because now people are just gonna potentially just be turned off from it, whether that was their intention or not.
Right, and especially since it was a joke. What if? I mean, look, if they want to go after Carthu's video with that, with the coronavirus, I mean, they can go after that if they want. It's fair game because it's a serious topic, I guess. But I don't know. I just felt like, okay, if you're gonna go after that video by Carthu has hundreds of other videos that are, you know, other topics that are pretty logical, you know. So
like, I don't know how this happened. Like, I think maybe they were just recommended, and that's how it occurred.
He saw it said they saw the thumbnail pop up on Twitter.
Oh yeah, I believe Wayne tweeted out. Justin Wayne, that dude. I like
maybe, I'm not sure. I don't really know all their names, honestly, because that was the only episode of their podcast I've ever watched.
I watch them relatively consistently, and a lot of people in my video just I don't like them. But the thing is, like, I just didn't like their presentation for that particular one. They could have brought up like one normal example for what if, whether it was like Moscow X or some like major player, but they didn't do that. So it's like, yeah, whatever.
Right.
So I guess to bring something back to reacting to what if. So what do you think of us doing the CBR roasting videos we've done so far?
Those were fun, and they performed really well. I think, what did I call it?
I think one of them's at 10K, the first one we did.
I'll check right now. I think it was called I called it the worst what if ever made. or something. Let me see. Yeah, worst what if video, the dumbest what if video, or the dumbest what if Dragon Ball video ever, and it's at 13K right now. So, and then I have another. Actually, I don't know if that was the one that we did. Did we do 1 or 2 on my channel? Because then I have another one.
We did
the
2.
worst Dragon Ball video ever created, and that's at 7.1K. It's probably the. We did 3. I think 2 of them. I think we did the 2 what ifs.
We did 3. One of them's on my channel. The other 2 are on yours.
Yeah. So we had the what ifs. So one of them's at 5.4K. The other one's at 13K. So those are fun. They performed really well. People loved it, and I would be down to do more if if anybody has any suggestions that they want us to rip into. The only thing that's off limits for me is ripping into specific creators.
No, I understand your point of view on that. My thing is, as a what if creator, I think some are fair game. Like, I'm considering looking into Just a Robot, so what if Goku was female? Because I do have some opinions on that one, but
if you want to
criticize,
if you want to criticize it, it's different. It's different than what we're doing with CBR. We're like,
but CBR, it's obvious that whoever's writing these either plagiarized these from other creators or they just didn't know what they're doing when they're writing characters.
Exactly. To me, the only thing, and this goes for, because I'm someone who does a lot of article debunks and stuff like that. Those videos always perform well. And to me, I know the work that goes into content creation and, having your own YouTube channel. So I will never publicly go up and be like, all right, yeah, we're going to rip into such and such as, like, okay, a good example, I'll just say the name, because this is what so many people asked me to do. They asked me to rip into Goku T23's what ifs. And I just won't do it because that's going after another individual creator. And I know it takes a lot of effort to make, individual content and run your own channel. I'm not looking for beef with one creator who's bigger than me. I just feel like, they can basically say like, okay, you're shitting on my content. Go make your own content and have your channel be more successful than mine if my stuff is so bad. But if you're going after a big company like CBR or Screen Rant, I feel like it's fair game because they're an actual company,
I mean, my thing is like, with Goku T23 in particular, the issue that me and also Anime Sage, since we were playing this for a long time, the issue that we run into is that we don't know what's worth talking about to a degree. Because with CBR, it's more clear of how they mess up. But with Goku T23, there's parts where it actually will make decent sense. But
it's just really out there. Like, the topics are so
like,
out
that's
there.
the thing. Like, his
it's like,
topics
what if
are out
Goku got
there.
Super Saiyan 4 in Dragon Ball? And it's like, all right, like, I guess he's gotten so off the deep end that the story is really different, so he can kind of do whatever he wants. Whereas CBR, they're just forgetting basic things about Dragon Ball.
Well, the thing with CBR in particular is that the what ifs that they're doing are generally normal topics to a degree, versus like what Goku T23 does. He does like, what if Goku had Omni Key? It's like, well, we don't know what it is. He can make up whatever, really, where it does. Like, it's a made up thing.
Right. Remember CBR? Remember Captain Kakarot?
Oh, yeah.
So bad.
I guess speaking of them again, what was the worst what if you think we saw so far from them? Out of the 2 we did?
To me, it was the Vegeta one. It was what if Vegeta was sent to Earth. That one was really bad because, to me, just the fact that they were like, they got so much wrong, and they just like, there were so many logic holes, and how like the characters just started behaving differently midway throughout the what if. It was just, that one was a mess. That was the worst one I think I've seen. I mean, who knows? Maybe there could be other ones, but that was probably the worst one.
I do know that there are people who want us to see the Bardock one that came out, but I know you weren't as interested in that one. I might look at it again.
I'll look at it again, and if people really want it, I'd be down to do it.
I know that one was worse than the Tournament Power one, which is the only other what if that I can think right now that we didn't cover due to it being relatively okay. Besides, a
Yeah,
few
I'm
issues.
only gonna cover this stuff if it's like garbage. So
I think with the Tournament Power one, I might ask Anime Sage or someone. We might just cover the parts that we don't like and just make it like a highlight video. Honestly,
right. I mean, you could always do that. That makes sense. The thing is, they get so many views that it's just like, I don't know. I feel like, why are people watching that stuff when they could watch stuff from a creator who really
why
knows
can't you
what
watch
they're talking
us roast their videos being awful?
about? Well, people did. People wanted to watch
Which is
that.
funny.
So can't complain about that. At
So
least on my channel.
I know some people ask this in comment sections. Are you considering roasting other CBR videos? Because I know there's one that people keep telling us to do, and it's one related to Moro. And essentially what happened was they made a prediction video, but guess what? When they did it after the Moro arc ended, when the video came out. So
They made a Moro arc prediction video after the arc finished?
yes,
No.
that's kind of why I want to do that one in particular, but that's it. I can't think of any other one.
Well, look, okay. Here's the truth of the matter. If anybody watching this video, if you find me a what if, a regular video, I don't care if it's from CBR, Screen Rant, any company, not an individual creator, anything from a company, and it's horrible. It doesn't matter what it is, article, video, just send it to me. It doesn't hurt. And if I see it and I'm like, this is worth talking about, worth ripping into, people are gonna like this, I'm gonna do it. Because people might not understand this. Sometimes like people will send me, it's like, oh, this is so dumb. Like someone will post something and it'll be like the top 10 Dragon Ball characters, and I will disagree with that, but that's like a subjective take. Whereas like I'm looking for stuff that's just like wrong, and then that way I can just put like a, not clickbait, but like a clickable title where it's like the worst article ever written, and it'll do well. It'll get like, I mean, I did it, I think like when Baby Vegeta got announced for Fighters, some company wrote an article like, who is this character? Nobody knows who that is. And I ripped into their article, and I think the video got like 45K. So I'm always down to do that, no matter what it is.
Yeah, I think what's interesting with CBR in particular, after we roasted several of their what-ifs, the only what-ifs that I've seen them doing lately is just Avatar, and that's it. They haven't done anything else besides, well, they did do a few Star Wars ones and Marvel stuff, which I think we're gonna look into those, because you said you know enough about Marvel. You might look into those, but that's it, I think.
Yeah, we could, if they're really bad.
what-ifs.
I mean, look, here's the thing. I just feel like with Marvel, like if I'm gonna make content on YouTube, I feel like I should really be knowledgeable about something, because I wouldn't classify myself as a Marvel expert. I've seen like every MCU movie at least once.
Well, I'm saying this would be more for like my channel, obviously, because it's not Dragon Ball related.
Right, then I don't mind going on your channel for it. I could make videos. I could like criticize someone for Dragon Ball. I can criticize someone for, you know, a few things, but I wouldn't say Marvel is not my expertise. I've just seen every MCU movie. So that's, I mean, only once, or some of them I've seen a few times.
Yeah. Yeah, the last Dragon Ball what if they seem to do was the Bardock ones. That's it.
Gotta look into it. I gotta look into it.
I'll send you the other. I'll send you the Moro one, because that one's more interesting in my opinion. It's a shorter video, so it'd be a quick one to do. It's only like 6 minutes, so that'd be a easy reaction video.
Were they making predictions for the anime? Like,
I believe for the manga.
No. Oh my god, I gotta look into that. That actually might be my video for tomorrow.
I mean, if you want to record it right after this, we could.
Maybe we'll look into it.
I'll send it to you in the background here. I guess get back to actual questions here.
Yeah.
Should content creators allow their fans to dictate what they make? What do you think about that?
That's a really good question, because to me, there has to come a balance, because you ultimately, as the creator, know what your audience wants, because you have analytics. You know what I mean? You can use your analytics to see what works, what doesn't work. Because if you're going to go by, like, you know, a few vocal people in the comments section, sure, it could help for suggestions and ideas, But what you make, I think you have to go by your analytics and see what videos perform well, what doesn't perform well. If a video doesn't perform well and people are like, please make another one, I'm sorry, but I can't, me personally, it's like, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to do that. I have to do what performs well because ultimately more people are enjoying that. So I think it comes a balance. Ultimately, I think being analytic driven is the way to go, though. I mean, obviously, you want to discuss with your audience, the people who are most loyal to you. But if they're most loyal to you, they should know what works and what doesn't work. And they should be understanding towards that,
Yeah, I get you. I think with me, I run into issues because there's things I want to make, but I don't want to stack too many what ifs on myself that I just leave stories open and not finish them properly, which is the biggest drawback to being a what if YouTuber, because what happened is you need to release new stuff every once in a while, and sequels just don't perform as well for a reason, depending what it is.
Right. Well, that's the thing. I mean, I feel like as you make more parts to a series, they will perform worse over time, or worse as you make more parts. But the key is that, it's marathonable content where...
Well, yeah, they perform better over time.
Yeah.
Which I think people don't understand with my content. People are like, Drew, why are you wasting time on a video that only got like 300 views? And I explain to them, it's like...
It might be at 1,000 views in 2 months.
1,000. Yeah, it gains views over time. Okay. So if I do multiple, people watch one after another.
One thing people I think should realize, because as a viewer and a creator, it's two completely different things. As a creator, I think you have to kind of base everything off of like views per month as opposed to views per video, because videos will not do great when they come out, but they might end up doing really well in search results and doing well over time. I have videos that kind of bombed in the video and now that are over 10K now. So it's happened to me. I have my correct order to watch Dragon Ball video. It's my most successful video. It's over 200K views, and it didn't do well in the beginning, but it slowly over time became successful because it performed well in search. So as a creator, I would tell any creator, go for views per month, not views per video. Don't be worried if a video doesn't perform well out of the gates. Obviously, you look at what videos do well and what videos don't do well. And if it does well, then you want to replicate that and do it more. Obviously, that is the struggle though with what ifs, because sometimes what ifs will do well and you want to get more of that, and then you could be roped into being an exclusive what if channel. So you just got to be careful with that, but definitely look at the overall views of your channel, not really like, oh, this one didn't perform well in its first 24 hours. That's not the way to look at it.
Okay, let's see. All right, I already asked you a similar question to that, so I'm going to skip that one. All right, so is there something in the what if community you think people should look out for, like a trend you don't like, or maybe bad experiences you've seen occur throughout? Because I don't think you've been super involved, but I guess trends would be better to talk about, I guess.
Well, the thing is, I'm not super involved in the what if community, and the only what if people that I really know or watch in a sense, Sage. I watch Sage. I don't really watch Sage's what if content, but I watch all of his other content, like if he does like a channel update or something like that. But like, I'm friends with Sage, so I support his stuff. I just am not. I only watch Dragon Ball content, so that's why I don't really watch his main content. But and then obviously I watch your videos. I watch some of Dragon Star's videos. I'll watch Smugstick, Carthu, Salad, and that's really it. So I'm not super involved in the what if community, but the truth of the matter is, from what I've seen from other people, not the people that I mentioned that I watched, the other people, just please, as it's just getting so ridiculous, some of the discussions like that Goku T23 makes, for example, people I mean, do people really want to watch that? Like, I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me why people want to watch that in the first place. I feel like it's just lowering the knowledge that Dragon Ball fans will have in general of the series by watching that stuff. It's like, and they used to tell us when we were kids, oh, if you watch SpongeBob, it makes you dumb. I feel like if you watch that type of stuff, it's going to make you dumber and less knowledgeable as a Dragon Ball fan. That's really just my opinion. I feel like, watch what if YouTubers who make actual thought-provoking content, not mindless stuff.
I guess with me, I think the idea behind that is that there are people who do want to watch stuff like that, and the thing is, like, that's what made me lean towards to, instead of being absurd, I guess, to agree with my scenarios and taking them seriously, what I do is that I'm less serious with scenarios that are supposed to be taken more seriously, obviously.
Right.
And that leans into how my character functions compared to other people's characters when they present things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, here's a good example. I guess you don't watch My Hero Academia, so you probably don't care about spoilers or whatever. You don't care about spoilers.
No, right? No, I don't care. I really only watched Dragon Ball.
So what happened was, there's a scene in My Hero Academia where Bakugo's being attacked by a sludge villain, and originally in canon, All Might punches it, they saved, all that. Well, in this what if what if Deku basically got to Juggernaut's powers, essentially what happens is that All Might isn't there to save Bakugo, and I just make a joke that Bakugo is basically Vord, his sludge villain, and he dies and nobody saves him, because that's what happened in canon, because nobody actually did try to help him.
Right.
Even though they're all superheroes, and you think that somebody would have tried to help him, but nobody did. So that's what I rolled with.
Right.
And you think, like, literally that doesn't make sense. Someone would have saved him, but if you think canonically, it's like, it kind of works, because nobody was wanting to help for a reason.
Yeah, I get that.
And I think that's what people don't get with certain absurd what-ifs, because there is certain logic bounds that can be broken, especially by the point, in my opinion, when you hit Dragon Ball towards the Buu Saga, you can be a little bit more absurd if you're writing. People would probably accept it.
Right, well, I mean, that was the Buu Saga in general. It was, Toriyama kind of just did what he wanted there. He wasn't really held back by much. So I guess, if you're writing the Buu Saga, I guess you have the freedom to do that.
Well, I'm saying, like, how you could change the tone of this what if. Like,
right.
I guess you could take it more seriously as you get to Beerus, but theoretically you could just make those parts of the story whatever, because the Buu Saga was relatively long for what it was, in my opinion.
It's the longest Dragon Ball arc, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's one of the drawbacks that I have with it personally, because there's so much that goes into it when it didn't have to be that long. But then again, I've been watching Naruto Shippuden, and that's been taking up a lot of my time, because the war arc is their longest arc. And I see issues with that as well, though. I see that there's character issues every once in a while. It's just overly long than it needed to be. But I know the manga did it properly, but I'm an anime person, so that's what I'm going through.
Right.
I guess one thing I asked, do you want to recommend any what-if content creators?
Yeah, I mean, again, obviously, there's this guy, whatifuniverse. I would watch his stuff. But also, obviously, I really like Smug Six stuff. I like Carthu stuff. I like Salad stuff. Those are the three big what-if Dragon Ball YouTubers that I think do a really good job. So I would say that those three, I think, do a good job. I mean, there are others that do a good job too. Dragon Star, I think, does a good job. And then if you're into non-Dragon Ball content, Sage is the guy. So there's a lot of people out there, but those are the guys I would recommend personally.
Yeah, I decided I'd give you a second if you want to shout out a few people.
Yeah.
I guess something that I want to ask related to your what if content itself, is there something you want your audience to take back from watching them?
It's interesting. It's kind of to take back from watching them? That's a good question. I think I would just like my audience to just say like, okay, because again, my what ifs are more so like, what if this one little decision was changed? From whoever's writing the story. What if this little thing changed? So it's kind of like I want them to see like how events would kind of stumble. How the domino would fall. That's kind of the perspective I want them to kind of take away from my what ifs. So that's how I personally like to write them, and that's the type of what if content I enjoy the most. So yeah.
And I guess to ask an interesting question, how do you feel about people who either feel like quitting to make what ifs or wanting to just quit YouTube like entirely? What do you think about that?
It really depends. Like if you're completely burnt out and your content's not performing well or whatever, I think a break can work for some people. To me, it's like, okay, am I not happy because of the content I'm doing, but I like doing YouTube? Then it's like, all right, maybe you got to start from scratch. That's tough. It's a tough decision to make, especially when, so many people, we discussed this earlier, so many people will go all in on what ifs and then get burnt out. And it's like, okay, you can't not do what if content because people didn't subscribe to you to have a regular discussion or, a manga review or something. People didn't subscribe for that. They subscribed for what ifs. So you're put in a really tough situation. So I would personally say to anybody, just like, if you're concerned about your growth on YouTube, obviously know that'll hurt. But if you're going to be happier doing other stuff, maybe then it's worth it. But you're going to have to distance yourself from it. It's a really tough situation. I personally am glad I don't have to be in that situation because, again, I will do what if content, but it's not going to be every video I do. It'll be maybe every 6 or 8 videos that I do. So it's a tough situation. I would just recommend anybody, if you're not feeling burnt out because of just making YouTube content, if you're burnt out just because of doing what if stuff, I would say you got to start from scratch. You can't just say no more what ifs and I'm just going to do regular content. Your channel is going to suffer. So either make a second channel or rebrand your channel and then just put up with the suffering for maybe a year. It'll take really a while to get back on track because you're going to have to, introduce your hardcore audience to this new content. You're going to lose your casual audience. That's just the fact. And then you have to make a new audience, so that's kind of the struggle, I would say.
Yeah, that's for sure. I guess to go into something more interesting that I personally find is that there are people who may or may not know that you used to create content for a different channel, which you still kind of do, kind of don't. That's a little hazy right now, but it's called Dragon Ball Network. So one thing I want to talk about is how was it during the first version of it? Because I know there's different stages that Dragon Ball Network went through.
Yes, there was plenty of stages, and honestly, the first stage was I always had the idea of like, okay, what if we took all the talents of all these YouTubers, all these small YouTubers who were trying to make it, and just combined it into one thing? Because it's like so many people struggle, like, okay, I can only upload a video once a week, or I struggle with editing, but I'm really good at commentating. There's every. What was that? I'm sorry. You
said, "Let's go communism."
Well, that's basically what I was saying. Let's combine our resources, united together in friendship and labor. And, what if we just did that and made one channel and, made it the Dragon Ball place, the hub for all Dragon Ball content. And it was a really, really big idea. There were so many things. It was first going to start out as a YouTube channel, coming out with like 2 videos a day. I had 20 people. I think I had 20 people on board in the beginning. And it was going, but the issue was it was just like, okay, it was not sustainable because it was me, Super Saiyan Science, and Magic Z. We were the only 3 people at the top who were really, really putting that time in that we needed. and it wasn't enough. It really wasn't enough. It was a really big project. We were way in over our heads. People weren't getting stuff in on time. There was so much stuff behind the scenes, and it's like, okay, 2 videos a day was so much, and then we're like, okay, maybe we do 1 video a day, but then it was just like, nah, dude, this is too much. It's a failed project. But the channel went from 0 subscribers to 900 or 875, I think, within a month. So that was really impressive. We're coming out with 2 videos a day. Again, it was a little too broad, I think, the content. I think it was a little too broad. I thought if I would have done it from the start, I would have made it like, okay, we're doing just like niche down a little more, because we're doing gaming, artwork stuff, discussions, anything you can imagine. So to me, I would have made it niche down a little bit. I wouldn't have made it so broad. I would have done less content. I would have done maybe 1 video a week, and had it more spaced out. And obviously we needed more time in the beginning, and that was one thing I always wanted to do with TBN in the beginning, was I wanted to make it so that, all right, everybody's got their video in a week before it's even due. And of course, what did we do? We waited until the hour before the video is supposed to go up. And sometimes it didn't go up in time, and then it makes you look like a jerk when you're not uploading when you say you're supposed to upload. So to me, it wasn't working. It was too much stuff, honestly, on my plate, Science's plate. It was too much. So I decided, or we all decided, mainly I was the head of it at that point. Obviously, I was running it with Science mostly. Magic Z was, he was the third guy. I'm just going to be honest.
Get to him later.
We'll get to him later. But I mean, and look, I love that dude. He's a really nice guy. I haven't spoken to him forever, but personally, he wasn't doing as much as we were. Science was doing a lot. I was doing a lot. But it was getting to a point where it's like, all right, I'm staying up until like 1 a.m. doing this every day after I work a full-time job, and I'm also in college. Like, I can't do it. I just can't do it. So then I decided I'm done. So I ended the channel temporarily, I guess, and we'll get to the next phase, I guess, if you want.
So I guess what led to the revival, I guess.
Well, what led to the revival was, oh my god, this is a long story. So came up with some people were wanting us to bring back TBN, the whole concept of it. And there was one fellow, SS Gokuja. That's a name I haven't heard in a while, but
there's definitely lore behind him. Like,
yeah, there's
I'm currently
a lot of
working on in the back iceberg video on AniTube, and he almost made it on due to the absurdity stuff that he did. Honestly,
yeah, that was the crazy stuff. But I don't want to get too into that. But he came.
He wasn't a major player, really.
Right. Well, he came to us. I'm going to give him credit for this because I'm not a phony. He came to us and he was like, "Oh, why don't you just come do a Dragon Ball GT abridged series or something? Because there isn't one on the internet right now, or a successful one that's ongoing. Do that, and I'll come in and I'm gonna bring all of the stuff on board and all that." And we're like, "Oh my god, okay, all right, that's a good idea." So, I mean, Science was really wanting to do it because he wanted to get back into it. I was a little hesitant, but peer pressure kind of got the best of me. So me, him, Magic Z, went through it with this guy Gokuja, and he wasn't like really like an owner, like, you know what I mean? Like, me, Science, and Magic Z were the guys who, it was our channel. This guy was just kind of, he came up with the idea, thanks, he wasn't really doing much else, but he, then we went through the whole process of creating this abridged series, getting voice actors, promotional stuff. It was, oh my god, that was one of the busiest times of my life. We had to get it done. Then we were able to find out one of our voice actresses, she was, involved with Sayacon, the UK Dragon Ball convention. And she was able to get us a spot at that convention, which that convention flopped. Let's be real. And the long, like, looking back on it, it flopped completely. But we didn't know that at the time, so we're like, oh my god, this could be as big as Kamehacon. And we were trying to get it done for the day, to get released at Sayacon, and we did. But I was like putting so much into promoting that. Like, I'm just thinking back on that. I remember those long nights, and I don't know if Super Saiyan Science is listening to this right now, but he can tell you, staying up until 1, 2 in the morning, just going over the episodes over and over again, scripting, all that stuff. It was so much work. And then when we finally got the episode out and Sayacon, we couldn't even get it shown there because, like, the girl or the voice actress who did it, she didn't download the episode onto her computer. So she's trying to, and there was like no Wi-Fi. It was really weak Wi-Fi. So the episode couldn't even really show. It was lagging. So that was a complete flop. But then, we released it on YouTube. And I was promoting this thing for a month straight. And I'm like, releasing on this day, Sayacon, we had a whole flyer going, whole 9 yards. Released it. Episode blew up. Well, first, in the beginning, it was doing well. And we were like, okay, doing good. But then, like, we woke up, and overnight, it was at, like, 10K views. And then, like, at nighttime, it would gain, like, 10,000 views each night. And eventually, this thing was at, like, 1K views. And I mean, not 1K, 100K views. And we're like, oh my god, we're going to be the next Team 4-star, because their first episode didn't do this well when it came out. So we were excited, like really working on episode 2, all that. And then Toei struck. Toei came with the copyright stuff, and it just derailed us. It was like, because we put so much work into this project. I can't even tell you. I mean, Drew, because you've been involved with the later episodes, but the amount of hours that go into making an abridged series is unreal. So just to have it succeed and then just get taken down by Toei with really not much of a chance to get it back, or at least, get it back with that video with those views, it's derailing. But we worked, got episode 2 out. After episode 2, and that one got taken down too. So I was like feeling so demotivated with it. I wanted to get back to doing my own content because from the beginning, I wasn't that passionate about the whole abridged idea. And I just kind of was like, all right, I think I don't want to do this. I think I want to go back to making content on my channel. Because when I went to, DBN, second time, I quit making content. And even the first time, I couldn't do my channel and that at the same time. It's just not possible. So I was like, I kind of want to go back to just making my own content. I learned the amount of stuff I learned about content creation while I was at DBN, just learning how to talk, how to be a good promoter, being able to get all that stuff. Like, I've really, and running a channel organization, I learned so much in that short period of time on DBN. I was like, I kind of want to apply all this to my own channel and just do it myself, because it was just not, it wasn't something I was really having that much fun with. So in December, I, discussed with Science and Magic Z. I'm like, look, guys, like, I can't do it anymore. I kind of got to step down from my position, give you guys the keys, and that's it. And I want to go back to, I got to take a break, and then I'll go back to making content on my own channel. And then the rest is history, that I'm back on my channel consistently since then.
So I guess to talk a little bit about the abridged series, do you think being a fan of GT helped with the writing aspect of the series?
Yes, for sure. Well, it helped with the writing because, obviously I've seen GT in English and Japanese. So that helps, when you really know the story, the original story in both languages. So you can, take aspects from the dub, take aspects from the Japanese version, because it's your own version of the series. It's a parody. You don't have to be, 100% accurate to the Japanese version. You can do whatever you want. You take aspects from both, and you can throw your own spin on it, throw your own jokes in there. And then also being someone who is personally like one of the people in the community who wants to support GT, because GT I feel is underappreciated by the Dragon Ball fandom. I had a lot of passion into the idea of GT abridged. I just didn't like making an abridged series, but I had so much love for GT, you know?
Yeah, I get it. I guess something else to discuss a bit. Usually I don't ask people to speak on behalf of others, but due to Magic Z kind of just disappearing to a degree, do you want to describe what it was like collaborating with him up till he left DBN essentially, or slash left the internet?
Yeah, I mean, look, his name is Jake, and that's how he kind of. I mean, I know him as Jake, you know, because I worked with him for a while. I met the dude in person, and he's a great guy. I have really, like, personally, he was a great guy. He was a friend, and I will say, I'm just gonna be honest, he wasn't the hardest worker I know, and you know this with Steven, Super Saiyan Science. Obviously, he'll go through his, like, and he knows that I know this, and we talk about this with each other. He'll have phases where if he's working, this dude's gonna work like 24 hours a day, and for like 3 days straight, he won't sleep. And when he's motivated, that's what he will be like. And then he'll disappear though, but like when he's doing school stuff, but that's fine. That's because he's busy and he might not have that extra push. But with Magic Z, it was kind of like he wasn't like that with Steven, where we needed another killer. You know what I mean? Me and Steven were killers, where we were like, let's do this, let's get this stuff done. And he wasn't like that. He was kind of sitting back, not getting stuff done. I'd give him assignments. We'd like discuss what type of content are we doing. I'd give him assignments. It wouldn't get done. There'd be no traction on it. He'd be like, oh, I thought you were doing that. You know, it would just kind of, we didn't see eye to eye in terms of like, work ethic and, that stuff. And I'm not saying he's like that now, but he's a great guy, he's a great friend. And he just kind of disappeared ever since him and Steven, because after I left DBN, I left on good terms with him and Steven. And I never was on bad terms with Jake to begin with, because we never had an issue. It's just, Steven really was feeling like he's working on this abridged series by himself, really. And he couldn't be working on an abridged series by himself. It takes so much work. He needed someone else to help him. And he just wasn't getting the help that he needed to run this channel. So he kind of was like, all right, look, dude, I don't want to work with you anymore. And he agreed, but I think he got a little sour. I think he was kind of hurt from that. I personally, I'm not going to say like, where I stand publicly, because, that's just getting involved. But like, I talked to Steven. I've talked to him almost every day for like the past, I would say, 2 years now, Steven. So I understand Steven's thinking. He just needed somebody who was a killer. They just weren't working together properly, and GT Abridged would have suffered if Jake, I think, stayed on board in the role that he was in. A smaller role he would have been fine with, I think, but the current role that he was in, I didn't think he was suited for. But he's a great guy, Jake. A really, really good guy, nice guy. His girlfriend, really nice people. So I have nothing to say about him personally. It's just, again, his work style is a little bit different than mine and Steven's. So he didn't really, I think, blend that well, especially when it was just him and Steven. When it was me, him, and Steven, it could work because me and Steven are, carrying the load, and then, we kind of just let things go with him. But when it's just him and Steven, it was kind of tough. Because Steven had more work on his plate, because my portion of the work was, not being done anymore. So he needed him to step up, and he didn't step up.
That's a respectable opinion, I think. With me, compared to the other three members at the time, when I was just essentially more on the back end, more of like a voice actor, even though I didn't voice many characters even, but from what I saw,
I remember you had the dog cop, right, in episode 1.
Then that was it, because what happened was my other two roles, one of them just got cut because I just didn't have time to submit a line because on vacation, so I couldn't record the missing line, and the other one I was just replaced with a different voice actor, which is fine. Because later on, I ended up starting writing since episode 5, so it didn't make a big deal to me after that. I guess to talk about that a little bit, how would you think DUBN was going when I essentially just stepped in and started helping Steven from that point
Well,
onward?
at that point, I saw content being made. It was the thing about Steven, he's one of the hardest workers, but if he's working by himself, I don't think he will do anything. He's like either 0 or 100. And his 100 is insane. One of the craziest workers I've ever seen. But if he doesn't have someone to kind of be there with him to push him, he's not going to do anything. So I felt like once you came in, you kind of unlocked Steven and brought him back to how he, should be. And you guys together were able to, write. Because that's the thing, Steven, and just writing in general in a Bruce series, this. Writing by yourself is tough for a script. You need ideas. And when you're working with someone else, you get ideas. I really think the more, not too many writers, but if you had 3 writers, that'd be ideal because you're having different ideas, different opinions. So you being there really helped it, especially since, when he was by himself, it was tough. I don't think the series would have even continued if another person didn't step in to kind of, help him out. So I think it wouldn't be where it is today if you didn't step in.
What did you think of how the writing was in episode 5 compared to 1 through 4 when you guys were the main people?
Well, I do want to correct. I was only involved with 1 and 2 and then part of the scripting for 3. So 1 and 2 have my complete stamp of approval on, meaning I made them but then, I think 3 was mostly Steven and Jake. I think 4 was Steven by himself. And then,
Steven talked to me this in the past. 4 was basically just written by himself at that point.
Yeah, and
Jake
then you were 5 with him.
I wrote, I would
5
say
and then 6
about 80%
6
of 5.
6 is in the works right now. It's going to be released, and I'm under the I believe that you helped with that, right?
Yeah, so to disclose things for people were wondering where Sal's position. Well, recently he was brought back into DBN.
Yes.
He's not in the same higher position he was, but he is still here technically.
Well, okay, so my position... Okay, so again, Steven kind of needs someone to be there, and he kind of wasn't... And he knows this. We've talked about this. He works really well with me, and I kind of get him to be able to bring the most out of him. And he kind of needed that extra push. So I'm kind of there from a decision perspective. I'm just kind of there to help him organize and just be kind of an overall manager type of thing. I'm not going to be in the nitty gritty writing, doing all that stuff because I don't have time for it. I have my own channel, and I personally don't want to do that. So I'm just kind of be there, kind of helping him organize things. He's still the guy who's calling, the shots. I'm just there to kind of help, give advice, kind of like an organizational person, manager person, and just kind of I can help with promoting things on social media because I think I have a better personality for that than he does, and we've discussed this. This is not I'm not crapping on him. This is stuff we discuss all the time. I have a better personality. I know how to reach people better, so I can kind of be that voice and kind of a figurehead more of DBN than someone who's actually really doing the stuff. Because I think that's ultimately that's what the channel kind of needed. Because right now it didn't really have a voice, didn't really have much of a soul. It was just content being thrown out once in a while. Where I think, the thing DBN really needed the most was someone to kind of sit and be like, all right, we need to be organized, guys. Not, just throw out whatever, whenever. Kind of, stick to a schedule. And you're going to see that. I discussed with Steven, when this is not in writing yet, this is not done, but we discussed potentially maybe with GT Abridged kind of going in a different direction. Because I think episodes up to episode 7 is written.
Yeah, I want to clarify to people. So I don't like being too open about production, but for this example, I will.
Yeah.
So what happened was when episode 6 was in production, what me and Steven realized is that episode 6 was way too long. So what happened was we split into 2 different episodes. So in return, you're going to have 2 different episodes when this comes out. So there's a plus to that. But the minus is that we have to figure out direction, whatnot, which that'll be more of a back end thing. Maybe
Right.
Sal and him will talk about.
Right,
But
we'll figure all that out. But again, like what I was like, kind of like, and I guess I can go into this a little bit because I know many people are going to be this far into the video. So just to go in a little bit, I mean, we were thinking about, you know, different direction, kind of the organizational approach. I think the way things are going right now, and I'm sure you'll agree with me as somebody who works with DBN, I think the current approach where it's like, all right, we're going to make an episode and at our own pace, and when it's done, it's done. Like, we'll just release it. I think that is just not the way to go. I personally thought, let's get 6 and 7 already scripted and, you know, mostly done. So we'll get those out, and then we'll work on 8 and get that done when it's done. But then after that, I think you're getting to a point where you can take a break, because you're getting to a good stopping point in the story. I believe you can get to like the
my plan as far as break wise, I'm going to talk science later, but what we're looking into is after Lord Lude's over, that's basically where I want to take a break.
Yes,
essentially.
Yes,
because by that point you have Rildo, which he's kind of his own thing. So
the thing about Rildo is Rildo and that entire planet ties into the baby arc. So my kind of idea was, and again, this is not what we're doing. This is just an idea.
Everything that we're saying right now is not confirmed from
not confirmed.
Previous
not
point.
confirmed. This is just all thoughts. All thoughts. Was that potentially maybe we could take a break? You know, let's say episode 8 or whatever, episode 7 or 8, whenever the stopping point would be, releases in like I don't know, whatever. We'll take a break, and we're gonna go full into production for quote unquote season 2 of Dragon Ball GT Abridged, where we get down, spend like an entire month and a half scripting the entire baby arc, like 8 episodes. We can make it. And then you go into a point where you're like, all right, now we have the script done for episodes, whatever, 8 episodes. Let's go get the voice actors, because that, you know, this. The voice actors getting lines takes a while, because it's like, all right, now you go back, redo the lines. There's a lot of like wasted time. So if you're going to go do 8 episodes in one shot, you're going to save a lot of time.
Yeah.
And then it'll just be like, all right, Steven, you got 3 months to go edit like 8 episodes. Good luck. You're basically editing the movie.
Yeah, basically to give people perspective on the old process. The old process was to just do 1 episode per time.
Right.
What I ended up doing when I started to take my position more seriously, eventually I came up with Simon. It's like, hey, instead of doing 1 episode, why don't we just do 2 and just make it relatively longer? Because we noticed that people aren't watching episodes all the way through. So it's like the YouTube algorithm's okay with 8-minute videos now. So that's basically what happened. So we make like a 16-minute long episode, but we figure out a good break point, and that's usually how it's gonna be.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. And I was like, all right, then what we can do is December is when YouTube, or November or December, that's when YouTube is at its peak in terms of views. So you can say like, all right, we're going to do November 1st starting. We're going to start releasing season 2, and it's going to be every week like The Mandalorian, and it'll carry you through November and December, and it'll get like, people get hyped about that because it's like continuous content getting thrown out there. So that's just kind of an idea of
the
how
issue with that me and Science always have to consider is Toei. So
right, that's the biggest pain in the butt.
That's the issue that with that idea, obviously, because what could happen is like 3 videos could just get struck in a row and the channel's gone. That's the risk you take doing that, because YouTube doesn't guarantee if your videos come back, because I've seen channels get falsely terminated several times now on YouTube, and what happens is if it reaches a point where it's been terminated too long, you can lose your entire content, which is why I back up a ton of my stuff, which is mostly thankfully to Science, because I share a Google Drive with them, which has essentially unlimited space, so I'd back up all my videos, so in case something were to happen, I do have that on hand. But Obviously, that just comes with DBN because we have to deal with large file sizes anyways, with voice acting, footage. There's so much that goes into it, so we needed it anyways, even if it wasn't for my own personal use, which is part of what I get for my position. That was part of my agreement with Science, that I just want to maintain access to that and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I guess one thing that I will say is that I'm really excited for this new direction as well, because as a writer, I end up with an issue is that I only do one script and then we just take long breaks. I'm not really doing as much. So
writer's block is a pain. And here's the good thing about, like, I think what I'll be able to bring to you guys. Again, I'm not going to be in there with you guys when you're going through your scripting sessions.
No, I know you're more of like here to help supervise and make sure we're staying on track, basically.
And here's the thing: if you guys have any questions and you're like, "Does this sound good?" What would you do? What would you put here?
That's what we need.
Text away, or a message away.
Because Science and me, we've talked about this in the past. The issue that we ran into when we're doing our version of writing DBN. The problem is we ended up in draws when decisions occur. And I didn't like that, because what would happen would be either that Science would push down an idea that I have, or I overtake Science and my dumb idea gets passed, and you end up with jokes in episode 5 that didn't do as well, because we didn't have very much supervision.
Well, if you have a third person, it can kind of be like, all right, well, what's the,
That's why we wanted one, basically.
Right, so I guess I'm kind of there to just oversee the project, not really be
to
there
explain to
doing
people,
in the grind.
Like Sal wasn't the only person that was considered. I know Anime Sage, a few others were considered. And Sage is still considered at the moment right now, but the thing is that both him and me have our own goals with how we want to do YouTube, and to both of us, DBN isn't our main end goal. To me, my end goal is essentially to try to finish GT Abridged. That's the one commitment that I'm gonna give, but that's as far as I will personally go at the moment, because ever since I did episode 5, 6, and I guess 7 at this point, I really have a good idea where I want to make the story go, but also still give a nice tribute to what TFS, other abridging groups done, because I've done abridging in the past, and I get the culture behind it and what's kind of necessary. The big issue that will always come up with the bridge series is that jokes will be dated super fast. And that's just what happens with production cycles.
Right, I mean, look at Team 4-Star. Like, Season 1 has a lot of dated jokes,
Well, even the Cell Saga has dated stuff. Like, We Are Number One, that meme was a fight song that was just thrown in there.
Right.
And it's a good meme. It holds up to some people, but new people might not understand it. It's an issue with GT Abridged. Like, we'll have the same hurdle we kind of have to go through to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
Because I will say there are certain jokes in episode 5 that still hold up. And mostly, I'll say it's due to the line delivery that me and Science worked with Plus Ultraman. Because the lines that I gave him...
Ultraman, I just want to jump in real quick. Plus Ultraman did a phenomenal job in the last episode.
The thing was, the dialogue I gave him a good personality. It's like, wait, why is this ball wet? Not only do you look at this ball, but you didn't get the other one. It's like, it has a personality behind it versus the original. Because it gives context that was never in the original GT series, because that when he kissed the ball, it didn't mean anything in the original. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give context the way he just did and make it play a part. That's what essentially happened. It was like, oh man. And also the idea to turn the Power Brothers into cowboys, like, it wasn't necessary, but they were like, I think they had Brooklyn accents in the original for most of the dubs.
It gives them a little bit more of a personality. I think it's a good idea.
My thing is I wanted to do something different with them, because I know there's other GT series that are gonna skip the Black Star Dragon Ball Saga, and I kind of get it. We skipped a few episodes too, to be 100% honest, to get to 5. Like, we skipped through a lot of relatively boring stuff, but some of it will be used later. I will say that, but can't guarantee how much will be used.
Yep, for sure.
Let's see. We're getting pretty late here. I'm gonna start closing a few things off. So I guess to close off with DBN here, how do you think the dynamic between the original Big Three of DBN will compare to the new version of the Big Three we currently have?
Well, it's different because I'm obviously less involved in the grind of it, so it's going to be less reflective of me. But I think that's not important. What's important to me is the organizational approach, which I think this will be more organized, because in the first iteration of DBN, or even the second, it was so focused on the details and not the big picture. I was telling Steven this. We need to be focused on the big picture, not the details. You know, we had it wrong. Where it's like you're focusing so much on this one little thing. Like we were talking about this thing for episode 6. And he's like, "Oh, I don't know what to do." I'm like, "Okay, what are you waiting on?" And he's like, "I'm waiting on this guy here back from a DM about this, source filmmaker little 2-second skit." And I'm like, "Okay, you're looking at like a detail that's holding you back. Let's improvise," because he couldn't find anybody to really get this thing done for him. So I'm like, you can alter this scene slightly and not even have to do a commission and save yourself $200 or whatever it was going to cost them. So
yeah, I think the thing with me and Science in particular, we come up with ideas, and like I said earlier, because we don't have a tiebreaker, we can't change decisions as quickly. That basically holds us back.
Right. And that's the thing. And it's just kind of like there's a lot of waiting. And it's just like, let's just look at the big picture and get things done and make changes where we got to make changes. If it's not working, we got to stick to the schedule. So that's kind of the way that,
because with me, I'm more excited because my expectations that me and Science have as of late was to get these next 2 episodes out after each month. And essentially, I would say during spring, me, Sal, and Science are going to do the writing idea that he kind of has.
Right, take that break, and then you can come back with the...
That's what my plan is. I'm planning to pitch that to Science, be like, hey, why don't we do that? And
I would endorse that.
And my plan is during the summer, we would just finish up the rest of the Black Star Dragon Ball arc, essentially.
Right, well, I think you can even finish up the Baby arc, or, a decent bit of it. I think you can make it an entire season. It depends on how many episodes you want to cover.
My thing with the Baby arc, this is my perspective, I kind of want to take more time with it versus these other ones, because a lot of these, especially with the Black Star Dragon Ball arc, I kind of just make it more gag focused and also change context to certain scenes, essentially.
Right.
Because there are certain things that you obviously can't change, but there are things that you can do to make it more entertaining or have some sense to it, I guess. It's kind of hard to describe.
Right.
But that's it for that. I guess to end things off, is there anything you want to tell my audience? You want to plug your channels and whatnot?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, if people want to check out my Dragon Ball channel, Salajin, I'm sure our link will be below. I got new Dragon Ball stuff. I got videos coming out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So, yeah, if you like Dragon Ball, there's not many better places to go, in my opinion. Then, if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at the Salajin. So you can go check that out. I got content for you all day on Twitter. And I tweet a lot. Then, if you want to check out Dragon Ball Bad Take Police Twitter account, it's at DB Bad Take Police. I post, I don't know, maybe 2-3 times a week on there. Just some horrible takes from the Dragon Ball community. It's a fun time over there, and that's really it. That's all I got to plug for you.
But yeah, that's gonna end off this interview podcast, whatever I'll title this. I'll come up with something clever that I usually do with people like this. I don't know, Dex Comics ones, I should have kind of a better title with that one. But anyways, I'd like to thank Sal for coming on, and this has been Drew from What If Universe, reminding you that in What If Universe there are endless possibilities, and if you have any questions you want to ask, you can leave them in the comment section, and who knows, maybe we'll answer them next year. We'll see how that goes. But anyways, I'll see you in the next video.